Hey guys, welcome to Nerdarchy for Nerds by Nerds. I'm Ted, and today I'm hanging out with
Ericus Ryan.
Dave.
And today we're going to dive back into the Tome of Beasts, and today we're talking Mammon.
Jump down in the description below where you can gain weekly tips from Nerdarchy for your RPGs as well as learn how to game with us.
Alright, so Mammon is one of the archdevils that's in the Tome of Beasts. He's the massive demon of greed. There's a lot of really cool information in there.
So Mammon is actually a mythological...
From mythology.
Right.
In mythology.
Yeah, he's a mythological creature. He comes from mythology, real world stuff. And he was also made his first appearance. I want to say the first edition Monster Manual, when it had all the archdevils and demon lords.
Okay.
So it's kind of cool that Kobold Press went back and decided to delve back into some of those monsters and bring them back for 5th edition, and they kind of beat Wizards of the Coast to the punch.
Exhumed all of these guys, all these great things, troves of stuff.
If you look back through the years, there was plenty of supplements and books that you can delve through and pull these kind of really awesome things out of it, and especially things that are inspired by mythology. You've even got further things to look through.
So Mammon is as an archduke. He's an archduke of greed. So avarice. And speaking of greed and avarice, if you're gonna pick up the Tome of Beasts and you haven't done so yet, you can use the description below to order your copy from our Amazon link, which helps support Nerdarchy, and that's our greed and avarice plugged.
Yeah. Well, and if you actually have your Tome of Beasts and you want to follow along, what page can they turn?
And they're gonna find. So there's the little synopsis of Mammon's on page 94. But then we have to turn later to page 98 where we get, or 99, I'm sorry, to get stats.
The actual stat block.
Yeah, stats and abilities, which she's got some really cool and interesting ones.
He does.
Yeah, obviously he's an archdevil, so he has regional abilities, lair abilities, legendary actions. He gets the whole shebang. I like the image of him that they give. I kind of like they went with a very classic devil kind of look with those big giant horns.
He's almost like Tim Curry from Legend,
right?
But rotund as opposed and golden as opposed to that red.
They say he's got a golden body, and he adorns it with golden jewels, bangles, and a single loincloth woven from platinum.
His one concession when it comes to clothing. Right. I kind of feel the same way personally.
I feel like they could have went a little more over the top with jewelry. Like I feel like he could have almost been like Mr. T-esque in the amount of jewelry.
Yeah, I would absolutely see that. Multiple rings on each finger. There should be bangles and things falling off his horns.
On his horns, yeah. It should be really over the top.
Possibly some kind of diadem or crown or something. He's got to be over the top.
Well, it does allude to that in the actual description.
Right. Yeah, and also, too, devils and stuff, like nipple rings that are ornate in jewelry, and, like piercings. You could even do a thing where, like...
Are you going to go, I'm so goth?
Well, you could do a thing, too, where, like, he wears, like... gaudy women's jewelry as well. He's described as a male, but devils or whatever, like he doesn't really care as long as it's ridiculously over the top and gaudy baubles.
Right. Well, it even says that one of his things is, and one of the ways you can actually bargain with him is having something,
a unique piece
that's very valuable that he doesn't have.
Right.
Yeah. Whether it be an object or a soul of higher value than what you're bargaining for.
Right. Now the interesting things that I find about him is, number one, his regional effects. If you bring anything of value to within a mile of him, and you stay there for an hour, your coins are going to turn into
wooden chips,
stone,
lead.
No, actually, and I don't think it's wooden chips. I think of what it says is they're all decidedly heavy things, like gravel, lead, all things that are heavy as shit. So it's going to be uncomfortable and burdensome for you to even carry it.
It says lead, wood, or gravel.
Okay, wood. Okay.
Basically, something that's not valuable.
Worthless, but for some reason I had thought there was a thematic thing of everything just being unbearably heavy as well.
And that's after spending 24 hours within 1 mile of his lair. The resulting junk resumes its valuable form when Mammon claims it, or by means of a wish or comparable magic.
So it's completely boned if you're there for 24 hours.
So, what you're saying with making it heavy and something you wouldn't want to carry around with you makes sense, because then people are just casting it off. He just senses...
minions
out to go collect it, which is kind of cool. One of the things they talk about his realm in hell, and basically, like even the rivers are of molten silver, and his hall is in the center of a city made of gold. Everywhere you go is just ridiculous amounts of wealth, which I'm sure he guards jealously. Like he probably knows where every penny is in that realm.
He's like an uber Scrooge McDuck, like the most savage version of Scrooge McDuck. And I love his attacks. He attacks you with like turning you into gold. He hits you with a coin purse. Like all of his attacks.
It doesn't say coin purse. It says purse. And I just found that kind of funny.
No,
yeah. But I think there's like material wealth inside of it, probably.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
It's a hot
yeah.
yeah.
So another amusing.
I kind of want to dress him in drag and then throw him at my party members, my players, especially when he's beating with the purse.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but purse, like coin purse, every adventurer carries a purse, really. Like when you get down to it, like a coin purse is basically a purse.
But I just pictured like a poach, a
handbag. Well, I mean, it would probably be the most expensive, exorbitant one, which would probably be one that
studded with gems and stuff, so it really hurts.
Gems and
so
rubies.
Another very interesting thing about him that I loved was that any normal mundane object that's left within his domain becomes an item of significant value.
It gets blinged
fantastical value as long as it remains on his plane. So if you manage to go in there and you defeat him, you're going to walk away with hordes and hordes of magic items that as soon as they leave his plane, they revert to nothing. Like they're just...
And treasure. I just picture imps like going all around his ring, his
bedazzling everything.
Bedazzling, yeah.
Yeah. Nice. So what is he? A CR 25? Is it?
It's up there.
It's pretty high.
He's a challenge 25.
Yeah, so he's
75,000 experience.
Now, I thought his hit points were a little bit low for that high of a challenge rating.
But you have to. It's something that I actually picked up when I was doing my article on the Fey Lords. Any of those that have that lowered hit points, you have to look at the stat block. He is immune to fire, poisoning, as well as damage from bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing weapons that aren't silvered.
Oh, okay.
So if you haven't silvered your weapon,
even if they're magic, he's still resistant to them.
Immune.
Oh, yes.
Immune.
That's a big deal.
So that definitely makes a big difference. The Fey Lords, all but two of them have to be magical cold iron in order to damage them. And
it's that specific.
And it's that specific. The other two of them just have to be cold ironed. And it was very amusing because there's a specific section that says that they pay attention to what mortals are actually working cold iron because they will target them because it's made specifically to target Fae.
Yeah. Well, do you think that, like, I kind of think that being so specific kind of starts to go against the spirit of 5th edition. I would say magic items could harm him as well, because, like, it doesn't say it, but I'm just, like, really, like, silvered thematically, or if it was, like, a platinum item or whatever, like, it's of wealth. Right. So I think that makes sense thematically to harm him, but also, like, I would say magic items should be able to deal damage as well.
Part of it is dealing with what is presented here, and DMs ultimately they have that call. If you're going to put a challenge 25 monster in there, your players are going to be prepared to deal with him because that's part of the game. Like you don't randomly go up against something like this. This is a sought after encounter to some way or the other. You're building up to it.
If you're seeking out Mammon and you don't have a silver weapon, you deserve what you get. You should have. It's not like you're gonna. Well, maybe in previous editions, but it's not like you're gonna find him on a random encounter table.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It could go either way. Maybe that's a conscious decision that Kobold Press made with their design. We'll have to talk to Wolfgang and get some feedback on that. If there were specific decisions they made where they decided to diverge from 5th edition.
Yeah. So that specific element, like making those things have that level of specificity, harkens back to it's very 3rd edition to be that that nuanced and specific about it.
Well, and when you're talking this caliber of foe, I don't have a problem with it.
CR25.
You're anything you're talking where you are talking essentially end game type monsters. Yeah, I have no problems with it because you're building up to that. You should have
all the capabilities.
You should have 10 to 15 sessions leading up to this is the foe that I'm going to face.
I also love the fact he also has magic resistance. So, like, failing having silvered weapons, I also
get advantage on
saving throws.
Well, I had noticed that the demon lord or the devil lord next to him actually just has immunity to weapons.
Yeah,
just immunity. That's all, and fire. But we're not on him right now. He's like a living swarm or something. But so we kind of talked a little bit about the things that he can do. The ability. He does have a save or suck ability. Well, save twice or suck ability.
Well, no, it's save if you fail by 5 or more, you're a statue. So if you don't get a 9
on your first save.
Yes, on your first save.
After that, if you fail your save,
but it's a DC 24 con save. So if you don't get a 19 or higher, then you're a statue. After that, then you have to fail another time.
Yeah.
And then you're a statue. Yeah, isn't it ongoing too? Or
yeah, it is ongoing until you succeed. You have twice. You have to make 2 saves to be free of it.
Right.
So that's a brutal ability. But on the plus side, right? If you're the lone survivor of your party and you guys wipe out Mammon, you're gonna not only get all the treasure from him, but then you're gonna get
the gold statues from your friends.
Yeah,
right. Except for then it turns into nothing when you get it from the lair.
Well, no, you become a gold statue.
There's effects.
You're petrified being turned to solid gold.
Yeah, but isn't it then under anything that was in his lair when you get
the effects fade after he dies? And that's only if you're in his regional.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's some ways you have to lure him out.
And you can't mention this guy without mentioning one of his legendary actions is literally called Make It Rain.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Mammon casts gold and jewels into a 5-foot radius within 60 feet. One creature within 60 feet of the treasure that can see it must make a DC 24 Wisdom save. On a failure, the creature must use its reaction to move its speed towards the trinkets, which vanish at the end of the turn.
Yeah, well, I think another thing that's notable as well, since we did bring up Scrooge McDuck, he literally has the ability to do the money swim, sort of. Right? His teleport, but his teleport is he basically dives into wealth and then reappears from other wealth somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, so in Make It Rain too, I just imagine him like opening his purse and coins just raining out, although they're all basically illusionary coins because they fade out.
He reaches in and throws it.
Well, like they all file out. But then, like, probably, then they all come back into the purse afterwards.
So that was one of his lair actions. It says he magically teleports from one area of treasure to another within 150 feet.
Yeah, I knew it was in there somewhere. So that being said, how do we use Mammon in our game?
Fantastic Warlock Fiend Pact. Awesome. Like, just sends his Warlocks out to acquire, like, rare and precious items for him.
Yeah, so he'd be... Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like, these guys are all very cool for using for a Warlock Pact. But then again too, like how do you use them, for the campaign arc like that, like you could do something with that, but I don't think that's like the best use.
As a Warlock pack, you have them, and you have someone that you have a way of getting items out of the game. It's a way. It's like, I'm not really happy with this item. I gave something that's too powerful.
He's the anti-Mounty Hall Warlock.
Indeed. But you can also use him as, if you're playing in a world that has high magic, high value, he could be an adversary that he's pitted against the things that you're trying to do, because typically an adventuring party goes into lost places. They uncover hidden and things that have been lost over time. By resurfacing those things, it draws his attention, and it's like, I want them. You're pitted against his forces, his troops, because he wants them things. So,
well, see, I kind of feel like the most important thing about him is the fact that he's willing to bargain, and it's really easy to bargain with him if you have something of value. So I would really like to do a campaign around him where he's got the soul of a loved one or something. And, maybe that, you can even tie that directly to the Warlock Pact if you wanted to. step 1 was accepting the Warlock pack. Step 2 is finding the item to trade for for the release. So like there could be a whole adventure around that. And then what if you actually complete it and either you try and welch on the deal or he tries to welch on the deal, or you realize that like giving him what he wants is a huge mistake and is going to unleash.
He's going to do even worse things with it.
Yeah, it's just not going to work out good. So I really feel like you could build a whole campaign
around that, leading to that confrontation.
Yes.
Yes.
And then it would be interesting that you could then use him throughout that campaign for most of it, where he just kind of shows up here and there to taunt your player characters, to taunt the Warlock, and it becomes an interesting role playing.
He's like a rotund kazoo from the Flintstones. Hey, Dum Dum.
Yeah, pretty much.
I could see him using that the make it rain, like just as a taunt, because they don't stay. Like
just to mess with people.
Disappears. Yeah, absolutely. Now, especially going into a town where people don't have anything.
He likes to play adventurer fetch.
Yeah. I mean, there also you could do a thing where like the adventure arc starts out that there's like a thieves guild that's really aggressive with doing robberies, collecting wealth and things like that, but it actually turns out it's a cult to Mammon. So it's like bringing material wealth. Like his lieutenants get some of it, but most of the really nice stuff is a kick up to him. And the big baddie,
that would really be fun. And
the big baddie is like a warlock or something.
That would be fun. A thieves guild based around him.
Yeah, would
be an awesome idea. Or what if you started off your campaign with Mammon actually has the soul of all the players, and they have to quest in order to get back their souls. Like, and that's like the beginning of the campaign arc.
And you could even have, like, with that style of game, you could have it that there is no fear of death because your soul is with him. So if you die, he just brings you back.
No, that's lame. No, you got to be able to die.
Yeah. Well, now you have no chance of releasing your soul, so there's more stakes of like, well,
dying is even worse.
However,
and also, like, it could, like, depending on how you ran the game, like, that could actually prevent you from being able to be resurrected or raised.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
But the idea of basically every time you die, it's now just a save point is kind of weak.
It's like it's kind of the idea of any show that's ever done the death takes a holiday sort of trope, sort of thing. But you'd have to make it somehow have stakes in some regard. Yeah.
I think the removing the fear of death changes the game. You can say, okay, well,
it turns it kind of like a video game.
There's no repercussions.
Well, there is, because whatever it is that you were trying to do, all right, you failed, and whoever you were up against, all right, in a standard random encounter, it's usually not gonna be a big deal. But if it's part of a heist and you guys botch it, well, now your mission's harder because they're wary or whatever have you. I don't know. I think there's a lot of interesting mechanics that you could do with that from the DM standpoint by removing the fear of death and playing off of that. But if you guys don't like it, you don't like it.
We don't like
it.
Fan. But you guys can tell us in the comments below whether you like it or not. While you're at it, like, share, and subscribe.
You can tweet at us over on Twitter.
You can also find us over on Instagram.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.